And welcome to another edition of the On Mission with Proclaim Cuba podcast. This show this year invites people to share stories of how they embrace Cuba. That's our theme for 2024. And as our guests share their roles of embracing the four pillars of ministry, it's evangelism, discipleship, training, and community support, we hope you will reflect on God's hand at work in the past, see His provision in the present, and visualize His transforming plan for the future. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On Mission with Proclaim Cuba. We're going to be doing a little bit different today. This is going to be a roundtable discussion with many of our team members here. So we have Caroline Pino, we have Carly Alamino, Executive Director, and we have a new person who's Ereka Howard. She's the latest addition to our staff, and she's got a really interesting story and a background that we know that you would want to hear. So we're going to have that shared with us this morning. So welcome, everybody. We're glad you guys are here.
Hello, hello.
Hello, thank you.
All right. You know, as we're recording this, we know that there's Hurricane Beryl, I think is how they're pronouncing it, Beryl, Breyl. And right now it's landed in Cancun. It did just miss Cuba, but we know it did some horrible damage in Jamaica and also in a couple of islands that are off of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It destroyed like 95% of the island. And so we know these hurricanes are incredibly powerful, and it's just the start of hurricane season. So we please ask you to pray for Cuba and for the Caribbean as well. It's as you can imagine, those storms are becoming more powerful and really deadly. So anyway, it's hard to believe we're in July, right? We just celebrated July 4th. We're halfway through our year, which is really kind of amazing. I don't know if you guys are like me, but it feels like this year is just flying by. So we've had some, just amazing things that have happened, and we want to share all of that with you. We're going to get a report from Cuba, and we'll be able to share all that stuff next month. But this month, we want to focus in on introducing you to Ereka, and also talking about how LNAC is helping, how we're growing, and then also about all of our trips this summer, the ones that we've taken already and the ones that are coming up, and how you can be a part of that as well. So let's get into it here. I'd like to have Ereka just kind of introduce herself, give us a short intro of her background and why Cuba is really so very important to you.
Okay, so hello. My name is Ereka. I am a part of the PC team, and I am so excited. I'm so honored and so grateful for you guys even considering me being with the family. It's more so like a family than anything, and so that's one thing that I really, really appreciate. So I'm so glad to be here. So my name is Ereka. I actually have two names. So my original name was Ereka Madalene Rodriguez, and so that was my biological name. Okay. I was adopted by a family in America, but my family is from Cuba. My mother is Cuban. My father is Mexican American, Mexican American, and my mother and grandmother migrated from Cuba during the Mariel, where a lot of Cubans were allowed to come from the island back to America legally and have start a new lifestyle. However, I do have a lot more family that's in Cuba, and the lifestyle is pretty intense. Pretty intense.
Yeah, tell us some about that. Where your family is, and when was the last time you got to go see them?
Actually, the last time I got a chance to go see my family in Cuba was February. It was in February, because every year, at least 2 times out of the year, I decide to go to Cuba, and that's February and October. And the particular reasons why I go in February is because it's my aunt's birthday in February. And then in October, it's my cousin's birthday. And so I try to go around that time. When I go, I have literally 4 suitcases. Whoever is riding with me, they are suitcases to the max. We look like we're going for a whole year, but there's clothes, shoes, non-perishable items, medicine, you name it. There's all kinds of different things that I usually take with them. And so we are that person. We are those travelers.
Absolutely. I mean, it's necessary, right? I mean, what happens when you get there? So you're bringing all this stuff, and we do too. Obviously, that's a whole part of what we do. And so when you bring those sorts of things, what is it? What's the need that you're trying to meet there? What is it that they need?
They are needing medical things. They're needing a lot of shoes, clothes, money. Sometimes I take money for them so that they can have it exchanged in their coop. Well, it's no more. It's no longer coop, but now
Right.
CUC. And so I always take those type of things to them. A lot of times, they don't have a lot of resources over in Cuba, and sometimes I actually get things such as um, underwear. I get socks, shoes. I mean, you name it, because prior to my every single trip, when they know that I'm coming, they're sending me like a list of things that they need. And
Right.
I go to wherever we are wherever I am in America, home, and I go to the store, and I'll just pick them up and ask people to donate. So I'm an employee, also an employee of the Salvation Army, and they have actually been very key in helping me take, non-perishable items like food and like I think last time I took like baby food. It's really intense over there, and to know that my family is over there struggling like that,
Yeah.
I can just literally like pick them up and bring them here. But the lifestyle is totally different. I can
Right.
So until then, I can only bring things to them so that they can have these things like medicine, and I think Listerine. I even bring Listerine, gum, chewing gum, things that we probably would take advantage, like take for granted.
Yeah, and that has to weigh on them, right? I'm sure you hear. So, how are they faring through this? Mentally and I mean, the physical part of just transportation and going to the store, even if you have money, just trying to actually do all those things. And what about emotionally and spiritually? How what are they telling you about that?
So my family, I have a particular cousin who's dealing with a lot of depression. And being in the country is very depressing for him. Sometimes they can't. I remember my cousin, well, one of my cousins, he worked at a hospital, but he actually got laid off from that hospital because for some reason or another the hospital didn't have any more money for them to work, so they can't work. So then he had to go and start working at like a local hotel, and just doing that. And so they can't really work a lot, can't really make the money. And when I usually go to Cuba, there's a lot of things that I see, like they don't have eggs. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. Um, if I even eat, to be honest with you. So when I go to Cuba to visit my family and to take a lot of things, I'm already expecting to like eat, like lose at least like 10 to 15 pounds when I and that's the honest truth.
Yeah.
They are very run down. You we it's an experience when I go. It's kind of, it pulls at my heart because I wish that I can just bring them here in America, but I can't. There's a lot of things that I have to consider too.
Mhm.
But they are struggling every time I leave. Sometimes they want to come with me, but they can't. Um, in contact with them while I'm here in America, like on
Yeah.
Facebook, all the social medias. But I know deep down inside, they really want to be here, but I can't do anything.
Ever painted a picture for you of what their day to day life is? Have they ever said, like, in the morning I have to get up and I got to go figure out what I'm going to eat for today? Or have they ever shared that with you?
Yes. So again, when I usually go, life is normal. I don't stay in the hotel with them. I stay with them in their home. I live
Mhm.
the lifestyle that they live. I think one of the very first times that I ever went to go with my family, live with them, stay with them during one of my trips, I had to take a bucket bath. And that is literally them warming up the water on the stove, pouring it into a bucket, and putting it in the bathroom. The bathroom is probably half of the size of a bathroom in America. Wall paint is off the wall. Sometimes the water is on, sometimes the water is off. It's just one of those things where it is. And then the toilet, you had to literally grab water from the bucket that they had. There's no toilet. There's different demographics in Cuba, middle class and high class. Not necessarily, but there is, on the island, everybody is considered, we're all struggling.
Sure. But some people have relatives that can provide money. Some people don't. I mean, there is obviously
Rural
differences
areas
sometimes.
look
Yeah.
different than some other areas,
Yeah.
and so
And so I know when I usually go to Cuba, they know I'm always going to just drink water. Times where I've had to like catch a bus or even walk like 15 minutes away, or 50, even 15 blocks, just to get a big old thing of water because they didn't have it in the actual
Mhm.
Havana, because
Right.
that's where Havana is, and that's where, how do
Yeah.
I, that's where the money goes.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's where you're going to find things that you would be able to purchase like that, and those things are even hard to find in sometimes in those places. Just the supply and demand of things. The demand outweighs the supply, and many times, and
Yeah.
so I want to bring Carly in there. He's been Carlos has been sitting there very quiet, and I want to ask him about our ministry and how we hear things like that, and we recognize the importance of really trying to meet the physical needs of people, but also to help them deal with just the weight of the complications that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and why ministry and churches are so vital to being that for the people, right? That they can offer community, they can offer um, help in just lightening the load. You know, Jesus said that his yoke is light, right? So when we bring people to the foot of the cross, we recognize that they are seeking hope, just like all of us are. And those churches provide not just physical help, but they provide the spiritual and even mental help that people are looking for. They're seeking that. So your dad's been at it for a long time. So let's just talk about what ELNAC, that's the name of the ministry in Cuba, and Proclaim Cuba are doing to try and help with that.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, and hi, team, and
Hey.
hi, everyone that is going to be listening or watching this video. Ereka is mentioning a few things that are very important for our audience to understand. Many countries in the world go through scarcity, chaos, difficulties. The big difference with Cuba is that you're talking about the professionals that are going through this. Like, I mean, you're talking about the doctors, the engineers. It doesn't matter if you go to university. It doesn't matter if you get a professional career. You are going to struggle like anybody else. Like, it is interesting that sometimes a person that is doing like manicure, like painting nails, are going to make more money than a doctor. So probably they are going to have a better life. So the today the youth in Cuba are not seeing university or going to study a professional degree as an option because they know that whatever they do is not going to be enough to survive in the island. So when you see people talking in Cuba and listening the story of Ereka, her family, the people I know compared to the people that are connected to the church, I am seeing a difference between all of them because for over 30 years, the ministry that my parents started back in 1991 have been impacting so many lives, and I have been working through the local church that anybody connected to the church has an extra level of hope that anybody else in the island. Why? Because our ministry since day one had been there to serve people and to share, to transfer the gospel while you're serving others. So all of our churches, all of our pastors, our employees, everybody that is a partner with us, they have access to any resources available that we can bring to the island. That means money, food, medicine, events, opportunities to study. Any of our programs are available to them. So that really creates a difference in the island right now. Like, if you are a believer in the island right now, if you're connected to any local church, you will probably be in a way better shape than if you are not a believer. Because remember, in the past, all the hope was based on the government.
Yeah.
Fidel Castro was God in Cuba, and after all of that went away, so people have been like, okay, now where is my hope coming from? And we know where that hope is coming from. That's why ministry in Cuba is so interesting. At the same time, it's so impactful that you can see immediate impact when you go and you do something.
I'm going to just jump in real quick and use an example. You talked about water, right? So we've been bringing water filters into the country, and that allows, and we put them in the churches because we want them to be able to serve the community. So, Erica, let's say you were there and you were looking for clean water, right? And you've now know that the church has that and they're openly providing that for people in the community. You didn't have to walk or get on the bus for 15 minutes to go find water. You were able to get clean water right there, and that obviously transitions into wonderful conversations about living water and what Jesus offered and things like that. So those are some of the ways that we are helping those communities, but also providing in ways that just work together. They're just beautiful pictures of both physical and spiritual needs being met at the same time.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the goal that we have. So I believe that when we are for a long time in the U.S. working and trying to make Proclaim Cuba a function to be able to transfer that to Cuba to become the bridge, and we are not going to Cuba. Sometimes we feel like, oh, there's something missing because I'm not seeing with my eyes the impact of the work that we're doing. And as soon as you have a mission trip, you go to Cuba and you start working with the pastor and you see what they're doing, it's like, and this is all worth it. So I have the blessing to go so many times a year to Cuba. I have been so blessed to be able to, to be one of those channels, one of those mules bringing those resources. That is not just blessing their life, like it's blessing my life. Like it's making feel that the love of God. I can see a God, a shape of God that sometimes I don't see in America because I don't need the same things in America that people in Cuba might need. So when I go there, it's a reminder for me from where I came from, right? So it's exciting every time I have a meeting, every time I talk. I say I don't know if I'm more excited about Cuba than I've ever been because I can see the impact of the work that is happening here in America, the work that you guys are doing, the work that our supporters are doing, our ministry partners, our friends, and we're always praying God to send those friends to us because the things that they are able to do, even if they don't go, is just amazing. But it's definitely a reality that I've been realizing lately is that if you are connected to a local church, if you are connected to our ministry, if you have access to any of us in Cuba, you are going to be in a way better shape than probably more than 90% of the population there.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And the reality is the church is growing. The church is getting bigger. It's making that impact that you're talking about, Carly. You just got back from a trip. I wanted you to tell us about too. This was an anniversary trip, right?
Yeah.
So one of our partners that's been working with us for a long time, but it turned out to be a historical trip, as you determined. So let's hear about that.
Yeah, so we have, as many of you know, I have a big passion for music. That's something that I cannot take away from me. It's air to my lungs, and I had the blessing to work with a Christian artist. Her name is Julissa, and her husband Mike. And 2 years ago, we were talking about why don't we celebrate 25 years of career of your career in Cuba, in Havana. So at that point, we were just dreaming, but really God opened a huge door for us to be able to perform in one of the most iconic classical theaters in Havana. So this is a place where you have the presidential part. I don't know how they call that. That part of the theater that nobody can sit there if not the president of the country. So, and we have a pretty interesting story about that when all the pastors were coming in and they're trying to sit and they will say, no, you cannot sit here. This only for the presidential kind of presidential suite type of deal. So, but we go there and then we have access to this location. This is invitation only. This is an iconic 1800 built theater in old Havana, almost in front across from the capital of the country. So this is a place that have been very political in Cuba. This is a place where Fidel Castro and all the Communist Party was used to go and see all the classical music with the orchestra and all of that. So there is no way that Christians believers would perform there. So in over 100 years, over a century, this is the first time that a believer Christian artists, international Christian artists, actually performs there. And performing there was great, but for me it was even better that we were able to invite all the religious leaders in Havana, from multiple denominations, multiple churches, to come and sit one side to another. Like I mean, we had everybody that it was interesting to see the dynamics when they were coming in and say, "You're here, oh, you're here," and I also was surprised that government leaders, the one of the leaders that is the one that approved if you bring Bibles into Cuba or not, so he was there. So this is a guy that is there to represent the government interest for the church. This is the guy that can say, yeah, you can have this Bible, or yes, you can have this Bible. So the guy was there, and we're, I'm now getting nervous, right? Because, okay, our language, our music is all about the gospel, and all these people are listening. And I'm concerned that this will create a bad precedent, and this will be the last time, or they won't let me go back into the country. But the reality is that the concert was so amazing. The music, we people were just singing out loud, louder than the speakers, and this had happened before. The good thing with this concert is that we recorded it in audio and in video, and we want to produce, videos out of this, to celebrate, and also to put Cuba in the world, like, hey, Cuba is alive. There is the gospel. There is a revival in the island. Lose what just had happened. So we're excited for that. We're very excited. I cannot wait for you to see the videos. I'm going to send a few pictures that probably you can put on this podcast for those that watch it. But it was amazing. So I want to thank Julissa, if she listens to these, and Mike for taking the risk and coming to Cuba and going through a lot. And it was very special. I'm very happy.
That's so wonderful. So Carly, we're seeing that growth, right? We're seeing the church making an impact. Wanted while you were in Havana, do you have any updates on the empowering center that we were able to buy, and we're in the process of renovating right now for all kinds of different ministry, and there's a church that's growing there. It's amazing. I was there with Pastor Kenny just recently, and that was fantastic. So what's going on with that, and how's that going to be working within that community over there?
Well, one of the things I've learned from my dad, and when he started, is we never wait to have everything in order to start doing things. So this building is we're still renovating, but we're using it already. Like, I mean, the third floor and the rooftop, thanks to mission trip, praise God for mission trips. Those are amazing. The team that went from Bent Tree, they actually provided to build 2 bathrooms for boys and girls, and also all the lighting for that third floor. So when I go there, they're already cooking for us. So that's becoming the one stop for any mission trip in Havana, or any ministry activity. This is the place where you need to go to eat. And it's kind of a replica of Cespedes food. It's so good. Like, I mean, the people there, they do such a great job. So we're using already the building for that, but also there are activities happening every week. We have a congregation now that is over 50 people gathering there. And this summer, we're going to have over 100 kids are going to come to Vacation Bible School, to this building to work. It's also open for other churches, or for different activities that they want to do. But we are into this process of remodeling the bottom part. So this is a building that needs a lot of work, and I'm pretty sure that with the support that we will receive, we will be able to do it. Like, we still need like $90,000 to make it work. So if you're listening to this and you have the possibility to help us on this, please do it, because this building is going to become a conference center, clinic, and medical clinics. This is going to be a seminary training, all the activities from the church. So there is a lot that we're going to be able to do with this building. But it was amazing. So I'm very happy.
Exactly. Yeah, we're very excited about that. And as if you recall, or maybe you're listening for the first time, we have a 10-year vision plan to plant an empowering center in each one of the provinces, and have this be a real lighthouse for the community to be able to do all kinds of different ministry, as well as Carly said, put a clinic in there, just to help people in their community and give them a space to gather and such. So we're very excited about those sorts of things. We need to be able to build those to be that lighthouse, and that is an appeal flat out, we need some help in that area. We need some funds to do those things. We're scouting for a second building now in Cespedes and in Santiago de Cuba, and so we do make that appeal to you. If you're feeling led to give to that, feel free to do that on our website at proclaimcuba.org, and then there's a give menu in the upper right hand corner. So we're growing as a staff here in the United States because we're really trying to support that with Ereka and with Caroline, and so we look forward to see what God's going to do with all of us as we move forward. Part of that is Caroline has been working extremely hard to get our July mission trips all lined up. So I'm going to have her talk about it a little bit. We haven't heard from her, so we'll give her the opportunity to tell us about everything that's going on here in July, and then where we're going in 2025 as well.
Absolutely. Well, as Carly said, mission trips are probably one of the most life-giving and exciting parts of our ministry, getting to see people go to Cuba and their life be changed by how they interact with the Lord there and the way that they interact with our ministry. And some of our most memorable things have happened just in this year, things that are going to be highlights of our entire year because of the generosity of our partners. And I'm so excited that we have 4 mission trips going all within the same month, which is historic for our ministry. And thanks to our fearless leader, he's going to be in Cuba for the entire month. And so he'll be there leading all of those teams. But one of our church partners, Casa de Dios, we're so excited to send them and their student ministry off to do kind of a tour of the island. They'll be hitting multiple different churches, smaller churches, where they'll be able to put on a really great youth camp and VBS for those churches. Again, this is experiences that these kids have never probably had before, and it's going to be the highlight of their entire year because they don't have things like Kanakuk or Pine Cove to go to. This becomes their summer fun, and so we're so grateful to that team. Whenever they get to Cespedes at the end of their journey, they'll be met by one of our iconic trips, which is our Cespedes VBS Youth Camp Women's Ministry Hybrid, which Ereka will be on that team. She's helping lead. And I'm sure she's excited to go with that team. So many of you who are probably listening to this have either been invited or have gone on that trip. And it's like coming home. It's one of the most exciting things that we do. We look forward to it all year. The majority of our staff leaders live near that area. And so it really is just like a big family reunion when we all get to come back home to Cespedes. And I'm so excited that team is then going to be met by one of our partners who was so generous. They gave us $10,000 in 2020 when our ministry was in the thick of needing a lot of support during COVID. And that is Operation Care International. Susie and her team there are just wonderful. And they are coming to Cuba. The Lord has called them there this year to be able to wash children's feet, to give them food, give them Bibles. We have 1,000 Bibles coming in. Spanish children's Bibles for those kids. She's giving them school supplies, shoes, socks, and she's giving them the ultimate gift of the gospel. They're going to be presenting the gospel and giving them gospel bracelets while they're there. And we're so excited that our time in Cespedes is going to be finished off by that. And then that team is going to head on to Santiago de Cuba and be able to wash kids' feet and serve the community there. Then finishing out July is a really exciting trip. That is our baseball clinic. We're so grateful to Tanner and Austin. If you're listening to this, we love you. And we're so grateful that you have just embraced Cuba. You've fallen in love with this mission that y'all have to share the gospel through sports. Carly always talks about, and I'll put it on here, one of our favorite photos is that kid getting his catcher's gear on for the first time and actually probably enjoying being catcher a lot more because he's not getting pelted by the ball whenever it hits him. And so we're just so grateful for all of the work that our partners are doing, especially this summer in July. It's going to be an action-packed month. And we just ask most of all for your prayers for safety for our team. We're taking in thousands and thousands of pounds of supplies at this point. And so we just want, we know that the Lord will safeguard those things. He already has gotten so many supplies in for us this year, so many necessary resources, and we know that he's going to keep showing up. But that being said, while we're so excited for July, we're also planning for 2025 already. And I know that I've had a lot of people ask me, when is a trip going? When can I join on a trip? And really the answer is, why is God calling you to Cuba, and when is he calling you to Cuba? Because you can kind of come on a trip whenever you'd like with us. If your
Mhm.
church is interested in taking missions, if you have a community group or a group of people who is interested in going on a mission, reach out to us. I'm sure we
Yeah.
can find a way to
Mhm.
take you to Cuba in 2025, so that you can, like Carlos said, experience God in a different way. And really be the hands and feet there in Cuba. So we're so excited about everything that's going on in terms of mission trips. And we can't wait to share the fruits of those, share photos, stories, testimonies of what God does while our teams are there. So
Yeah.
we're just excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Hillside, my church. We made 10,000 gospel bracelets, which are
Yes.
making their way to Cuba as well. And so that's just going to be exciting. We're trying to reach 10,000 kids this summer, and we were told that number is probably actually double. So we're hoping that God brings that many kids to us this summer, but it's going to be a lot of work. They've been working for a long time. We had for the first time, we had all of the VBS supplies in country, and we're able to do training with all of the teachers who will be involved with VBS, and they've been going all over the country just training people and providing all of those resources. And this is the first time we've ever had that ahead of time. So that was really a wonderful part about having so many trips this year. We've got a total of 25 trips on the books. We've taken half of them, and we've got the other half still to go in this. And so it's amazing to see how God is growing and God is using all of the different elements of our ministries down there. We use an umbrella of 4 different pillars to kind of talk about all of the different things. And so that's evangelism and discipleship and training and community support. Those are our 4 pillars that are built on the foundation of Christ. And so we use those as a way to talk about all of the things that God is doing through the different ministries. And we're using every single one of them. We're seeing that all across the island. So it's not just in one place. It's everywhere. It's exciting to be a part of. I've been there twice within the last 60 days, and God is at work. It's exciting to see how he's really using all of these leaders, and they are filled with the Holy Spirit. They are working so diligently every single day to try and just build up the body of Christ in Cuba. And it's beautiful. So thank you all as our team that you work so hard every day to try to help facilitate those trips, to get them into country, to make sure all of the organization takes place here, that we can help send those teams and get them in country safely and with everything that we try to bring in. So we have seen God's protection many times as we just try to get things into the country. So, but back here in the United States, we have fundraising events because we do the things that we do so that they can continue the ministry that's been going on for 33 years in Cuba with Pastor Alomino. We have to have those resources here so that we can take them in. And so we have an event coming up that I want to invite everybody who's listening. It's called Passport to Cuba. We ask that there are table hosts. So we need table hosts to sponsor a table, and we need people to fill those tables so we can share with you everything that's happening in Cuba and help raise some funds. We have a silent auction. We're raising and finding all of these different things that are really phenomenal that you would want to take part in: experiences, restaurants. Hopefully we've got a ranger experience with Eric Nadel. It's just a whole list of things that maybe you'd want to bid on in our auction. And you don't even have to be there in order to bid on those things. Those are available on the website. We'll have that posted on how you can get registered there. And we'd love to have you be a part of that. So that is going to be September the 7th. That's a Saturday. And it's going to be at the Westin Galleria. We'd love to have you be there. We're going to have the online auction like I talked about. We have a platform called Handbid so that you could bid on some of those items if you'd like to. But it's going to be a wonderful evening. Carlos, your dad's going to be here. We're going to be talking with him on stage, as well as several of our partners that are going to represent our pillars up on the stage as well. But it's really just going to be a fantastic night. So Thank you all. Any last thoughts from anybody about some of the things that we've been talking about today?
Okay, years like way when I first like took my first trip to Cuba, I was like, I cannot wait until I like connect with a really good man. And long and behold, God connected with Proclaim Cuba, and minute the work. No, not the impact. The impact that you guys are doing. I don't know how the island would even be able to function with you get with without you guys. It blows my mind and it makes my heart so happy because I have a personal connection with the island.
Yeah.
And so it's not just me going and saying I want to help these people because I see a need. No, it just a lot. And so I'm excited to go on my first mission trip to Cuba with you guys on Saturday. And I just the whole washing of the feet, like I know I'm probably gonna be. I'm very sensitive, so I know like I'm probably be like, oh god.
We're very excited about that, Erica. We want to show you the ways. I mean, you've been there with your family and things like that, and we have our church family and our ministry family, and so we're just hoping that that expands your heart, right? To be able to see that and be a part of that. Continue to obviously love your family and bring them the things that they need, but also just be able to see how God's working in so many different areas on the island, and for you to be a part of that as well. So we're excited. We've used that term many times, but we are genuinely excited about what God is doing and how He's working through each one of us individually. He's growing me, He's growing Carlos, He's growing Caroline, He's growing Erica. All of those things are working together so that we might help the body of Christ. There's so much darkness in the world right now. To be a part of something like this is it's very wonderful. I mean, it's a gift to be able to see that, see God's hand working specifically in an area where God's connected my heart. And so I'm just very thankful for that. Thank you all for listening today. Thank you, team, for being here today. We just give God the glory, and we thank you. Until the next time, we'll see you, or we'll see you either here or you'll listen to our On Mission podcast. We're grateful for that. We'll see you next time.